minutes of the March 15th, 2018 Manistee Township Board meeting. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carried. You've received a copy of your treasurer's report. Any comments? Not that will be placed on file. There are no, there was no planning commission meeting. No appeal?
No.
No correspondence? Anyone with anything to bring before the board at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Shelley Green, and I had two issues. One is, I was on M55 last fall and saw a sign that said it was a township, so I went to our website to see how big is this township? And the website didn't have anything related to that.
Oh.
And it had a lot of old stuff on it, and now I just reviewed it again recently, and I guess we thank Diane that she's brought the minutes up to date on the thing. There were a lot of questions that referred you to people who were no longer associated with the township, and so all it's been brought up, and it looks really good. I would only ask that two things happen: is we still put a map of the township on our website, and then the other thing that was on there was very good was a map that showed when garbage pickup was done, and I see that that's not on the list anymore either. So I just wanted to say the website looks really good at the moment. The other issue I want to bring.
It's 30, just to answer your question, I believe the township's 36 square miles.
But where is its border?
Oh, well,
That's what I originally wanted to see. Where does it go to? Where does it? It's huge. Where does it go? So that's what I was looking for, was something to show me where our township is. So.
all right.
The other issue, of course, is the Bar Lake outlet. How the water goes from Bar Lake out to Lake Michigan. There's a natural barrier that's being built every time there's a storm. There are citizens that are there digging through this barrier. I understand through the police that they've been told that the township has a permit to do the digging. I would be curious to know about that. I also saw that the township fire truck was there last night, opening up that dune. So you're actually using now township equipment to keep this dune open, and wondering if you can give me any information. Do we have a permit?
Sure, we don't have a permit. No permit is required. I've been in contact with the drain commissioner, Susan Conrad, and
Excuse me.
no, that's fine.
Do you have to work with the DEQ?
Pardon me?
Are you working with the DEQ?
Yes,
Okay,
Susan Conrad.
okay.
And those people moving that sand is no different than, in their estimation, is no different than somebody down there digging. I know it doesn't seem right to you, but it's no different than someone digging on a beach. They're not removing any sand, they're not removing any stone. The water level in Lake Michigan is high enough where there's less than a foot drop between Bar Lake and Lake Michigan, and that doesn't allow that water to flow fast enough to keep that clean. That's why there's been so many incidents.
Oh, you can see it with every storm. You can see the way he's pushing the sand back in. It's going to fill this up that was just open.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll do it this weekend. One of my points is when we did the Lake Improvement Board, we wanted to do invasive species and we wanted to do lake level study. And I think this would show you that had we done the lake level study, you would have even more support to show that the lake is too high and we need to, adjust it. And just as we needed to keep it from getting too low, possibly you would have had scientific background to show that it's too high. Now all you're doing is you're gauging it by if somebody's got water in their basement or it's getting up
Which is a critical situation.
which is too close to their house.
Yeah.
But it would have given them legal backup for what's happening. So.
Well, there is permission from Susan Conrad and from the DNR, DQ, that says that.
I understand it being open. I agree with what opening it February, even opening it yesterday. It's not going to stay open. My only question is the expense now of keeping it open, doing it open.
Shelley, the drain commissioner and myself have talked about creating a drain district. And if we create a drain district to help with cost to maintain that outlet, that would mean that the people, such as the people in the drain district for the Manistee County, or the, the McGinnis-Cromer drain, would be assessed on their tax bill to help defray those costs. We haven't gotten to that point yet. We don't know if we're gonna get to that point. But if we create a drain district, or if the drain commissioner decide, or if this board decides they want to create a drain district to help maintain that, there's gonna be taxes tacked on, you know.
You'll still have to do a lake study though, won't you?
I don't know. I'm no scientist. I claim to be sometimes, but I'm not.
Well, I think with the height of the Lake Michigan, it's gonna be a tough year. Because like you say, every time a storm comes in from the west, you can see those waves pushing. They actually push back up to Bar Lakes.
They do,
So, anyway.
because there's not enough difference between the lake level of Lake Michigan and Bar Lake.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay, the county commissioner isn't here. Guy, anything going on in your offices?
I received one new complaint. It has to do with runoff from new construction into a neighbor's yard, I guess. I did get some response from the complaint letters I sent out in Marlon Heights. The one individual I understand had several commitments for this summer that they're going to honor. They're later in the summer. But beyond that, they are intending to put their houses up for sale, the two that they own. So, and I haven't got a response from the other. I issued 4 land use permits and 3 construction permits during the month. Construction permits seem to be coming in daily right now. So I'm working on those.
Is AGS upholding their end of the deal? Are they doing?
They are. They're turning around building permit applications in 3 to 5 days. And the trade permits, they're pretty much, if those are filled out correctly and the money's been received, it just takes a couple hours to get that permit approved and through. As far as the planning department, or the planning commission, they're meeting next week, Thursday. But they're holding a public hearing on a private roads amendment to the zoning ordinance. And I think Connie and I did meet with the city about city sewer. And we've got another meeting coming up as soon as both parties do a little research, and we haven't heard back yet. So one thing they did point out is we were supposed to have created and passed a ordinance about city water when we entered into the agreement with the city on city water, and somehow we overlooked that. So I've asked our attorney to prepare an ordinance.
Is that hearsay, or is that in a document somewhere?
No, that's true. It's on the first page of the agreement.
Okay.
So we had 120 days. It's probably been 120 months or something. But they reminded us that we needed to do that.
Okay. That it?
That's it.
Any questions for Guy? Thank you, sir. Welcome back, Chuck.
Hey, how's it going?
Really good, you?
Good. For the month of March, up to the 24th of March, we've kind of changed how we report now, so this up to the 24th of March. We'll catch up next month beyond that. We had a total of 17 activities up until the 24th of March, 3 fire-related, 9 medical-related, and 5 security trainings and other activities. The chiefs and officers' hours were 42, and the total fire medical personnel hours were around 144 hours for the month. Apparatus, 131 had a throttle cable for the pump that needed to be replaced. Denny and Jim Edmondson and Jim Maury worked on that to get that replaced. That brings up that 131, we need to open up discussion on getting that truck to 93, get a look at really replacing that. 135R, we still gotta get the windshield replaced on that. We should be doing that in the next couple of weeks. And then the DOT inspections on the trucks, they're due. As far as the station, everything is going good over there. Jimmy Edmondson's working on a display for the past firefighters and the pictures that we have from over the years. It's turned out pretty nice. He's a pretty handy fellow to have around. We're also getting estimates on the key fob entry for the door, the main door there, the side door. And the training facility is moving right along. The firefighter 1 and 2 classes, I'm using that pretty regularly now. And you should start seeing some more painting by the community folks, the youth, when the weather turns nice. It tends to be, that might be June,
Yeah.
July, so continue painting that. Nothing for equipment, personnel, we do have one more applicant, Megan Grant, but she just applied, so we'll wait till next month after she's been going through a couple of our things. She's currently in the firefighter 1 and 2. Training, 2018 training's been going along steady. We just finished up some ladder training and wildland fire refresher training. We'll continue that next week. Still working with East Lake, the city, and Onekaman training together. Actually, Chief Colzo approached me about getting together, actually talking about an automatic aid, so I'll sit down with him hopefully next week and discuss some different things, probably along the commercial corridor, stuff like that. Get more of a pre-plan in place for that. Sam and Nick, they're about 75–80% done with firefighter 1 and 2. They're getting pretty excited. They're actually over there now. I gotta go back over and help teach fire control. But they're doing a good job. They're sticking to it. We still have 16 students in the class. We started with 19. A couple people had to drop out due to work. That
If you
started
can-
back
if
in
you can-
January.
If you can enlighten everybody, how many hours is that firefighter 1 and 2?
About 300 hours. It started in January, goes Tuesdays, Thursdays, and pretty much most Saturdays all the way up until the end of May.
300 hours.
Just a little over 300 hours. So. And it's firefighter 1 and 2 combined, hazmat operations. And then there's some other DMS classes they have in there too. So. And they should be done the end of May, and then a graduation in June. Everybody's getting pretty excited in that class. There's only a few weeks left. So.
I would imagine.
Long time. Administrative, we did put in for those, through the Cleon Township, put in for that, for the countywide grant, so we'll end up with about 12 pairs. A little bit more than what we thought, but we still might need to get a few pair of boots on our own. We couldn't get enough, we tried to get more, but they only could get so many for the county, so. We did request money for some 6,000 PSI cylinders to refill our new SCBA's for the station, and then some portable monitor and a vindicator nozzle that we put in for. We did also, as a countywide engineering grant, put in for $40,000 for the county. That should give us about 20 sets of PPE. That's just a coat and pant. They're about $2,000 a set. And we're hoping to get about 3, maybe 4 sets of that, but we'll see what the rest of the county's needs are. Takes a little while to get everybody on the same page with the county, but it tends to pay off. Other than that, spring was supposed to be around the corner, but still be mindful of burning. I don't see a problem with burning probably this weekend or the next week or so. But it's a courtesy to call and call Dan 690-5328 and look on the state's website, because that way we know what's going on, so we don't get those calls from dispatch. We have to go out and investigate what it is. So it keeps the call line down. Other than that, that's all I have.
Your group should be commended on sitting on the revenue sharing board. I see that you do, your departments are all getting together and getting a better bang for their buck. And I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, it's taken a little bit of time. In the past, there was other folks that weren't for that, but for the most part, it's working pretty well. Should see more of that in the future.
Good. Questions for Chuck? Thank you, sir, and make sure you tell the guys thanks for everything they do. Liquor inspector, there's no changes yet. On a side note, the revenue sharing board had 22 applications on Monday night for $240,299. And they have $116,258 to spend. So. But that next meeting will be on the 11th of June, and that will be the grant award. Right? Business that we need to take care of this evening, Mr. Sholin is here from the County Road Commission, along with the Commission Chair, Bob Rochelle. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Good evening. I know I've sent you a big pack of information. I'm not going to go through that. Take a long period of time. So just going to give you some highlights. As far as the road commission goes, primarily right now just doing a lot of tree work and a lot of pothole patching. Unfortunately this time of the year, they are unfortunately this weekend. I think they're maybe starting tonight or tomorrow, calling for some winter weather again. So we will see what comes. Snowfall to date, we've had roughly about 168 inches, and last year the total was like 94 inches. So, I mean, over the last few months we kind of had spring for a while, and then winter came back a few times. So, I'm hoping every time I look at the forecast it keeps pushing back, week by week. So we'll see what comes. Last year in 2017, as far as federal and state funded projects, we had 3 of them completed. One of them, obviously, in your township was Cotton Suter Road between Lakeshore and Dawns. That was definitely a good project to get completed, and that was actually funded with federal, what they call small urban funding. And then the tribe actually participated, and then we paid for the design engineering and construction engineering inspection for the project. So that was definitely a good project to get completed. We had 8 locally funded projects, a lot of them, working with townships on cost share, completed last year. As far as this year in 2018, we do have a lot going on. The Red Bridge, Coates Highway over the Big Manistee, that will be totally replaced. It was supposed to start earlier this week, but because of the weather, the contractor is holding off on that because they have to move big equipment into the site. So even on the state system, even though our road is what they consider all season, they still need overweight, oversized permits. So they're basically, I'm anticipating it's probably going to be likely the week of the 23rd. We'll see what the weather brings. Just hoping to get some warm weather, maybe some steady rain or something, thaw out some of these roads. So we had quite a bit of blacktop wedging and chip sealing, basically preservation treatment between our state and federal aid, and then we have a lot of locally funded work, a lot of it funded through the Road Commission. We have roughly about 55 miles in various locations, within the county on basically the county primary paved roads. We have a little over 3 miles of road resurfacing up in Springdale Township on Big 4 Road and Moore Road, kind of at the north end of the county. Like I said, Red Bridge is going on. As far as AMDOT updates, everybody's aware, they're looking at doing the M55 bridge right here by Meyer, supposedly in 2020 or 2021. And MDOT has been working with us on possibly detouring traffic down Stronach Road, and they were looking at basically assisting us with funding resurfacing Stronach Road also. That's still in the works. It's not a done deal by any means. Apparently their preliminary estimates were roughly about 1.8 million to resurface Stronach Road to use it as a detour. So there's going to be more to follow on that. I think MDOT's analyzing other options, whether they do part width bridge construction, half at a time, something like that. So there's going to be more to follow, I'm sure, in the next month or so. And also they're doing work on M55 Cooley Bridge in Norman Township. If you've been through there last week, they set up a basically temporary traffic signal, so they just have one lane of traffic going down the bridge. Apparently they're going to have their bridge crew come in next week to do some repairs on the steel structure. And then actually this fall, they're looking at doing some rehabilitation work, I believe, on the concrete deck and the railing, stuff like that. And apparently, like probably September, October, it would be totally closed to traffic. So they're working with us and the detour traffic down Seaman Road to Hoxseyville Road into Wexford County and then over on 37. And we've had a few meetings with them, and they've actually preliminarily agreed to funding like $790,000 for like 5.5 miles of Hoxseyville Road. So basically, from east of the Dublin store to the county line, it's a little over 5.5 miles. I did an estimate, and the resurface, it's a little over 1.1 million. But, so it looks pretty promising. Hopefully, you know, they will participate in 790,000, and we're gonna have roughly, you know, 400,000 into it. But it's gonna be a resurfacing project, so it will be a longer fix than if you just went out and, you know, wedged and chip sealed it, you know, for preservation. So, you know, I think that's looking pretty positive, but, you know, and that's been, you know, good to work with on stuff like that. So we're hoping here maybe things work out, you know, some way with, you know, Stronach Road, because, you know, obviously, you know, they kind of have limited options, you know, especially with this bridge over here. So, and so, you know, more to follow on that. Last year, we rated all of our paved roads, majority of them, the paved local roads and county primary roads. And pretty much on the paved primary roads, we rated roughly 273 miles. The average Paisley rating was a little under 5, so like fair condition. How that works, like a Paisley 1 is basically a failed blacktop, a Paisley 10 is a brand new blacktop. So on our main primary roads, you know, like Stronach Road or Coates Highway, stuff like that, it was a little less than a 5, so, you know, fair condition. Now, there was about 180 miles of paved local roads that was rated. The average rating on that was about a 4. So basically, low end of fair condition. So, you know, just like many other agencies, you know, we definitely have, you know, a lot of needs. Now, thank goodness, starting in January of 2017, you know, they have legislation where there's an increase in the gas tax and the vehicle registration fees, stuff like that. So we are seeing, you know, an increase. Of course, we're chipping away, especially with a lot of these roads. We're trying to do wedging and chip seal for preservation treatment to prevent them from falling the other direction, you know, where you have to do the expensive option, you know, like what was, you know, around Cotton Suda, where they totally grind it up and repave. So, because we have on the paved county roads, almost 200 miles that were rated as being a Paisley 3 and 4, which is poor to fair condition, which means you definitely want to look at doing like a blacktop wedging and chip seal, stuff like that. And then we have about 70 miles that's rated as being Paisley 1 and 2, which is failed and very poor condition. Typically with Paisley 1 and 2, best thing is to look at doing what was done in Cotton Suda, basically grinding up and paving. So when you do something like that, it's about, you know, 250 to 300,000 a mile. Versus you do a preservation like a wedge and chip, you might be $50,000 to $60,000 a mile. So, you know, but we are, you know, like I said, this year we are actually in the county primary system, actually including some local roads where some of the townships are participating with us. Like I said, we're doing, you know, about 55 miles. So we're, you know, hopefully next year we'll be, you know, doing more. So. We, as far as staffing goes, we hired 3 new full-time employees last fall and trying to get up to the normal staffing levels. We also have had 3 seasonal truck drivers that help out during the winter time. And currently right now we have 31 full-time employees plus 3 seasonals. Actually 2 of the seasonals are pretty much done for the winter. And then we have 1 that just works part-time, so we'll use him on an as-needed basis. So, you know, 31, and that includes myself and office people, and that stays pretty regular the last, you know, number of years. So, with the weather, the seasonal weight restrictions, unfortunately, they've been on since February 19th, you know, the way things are going. I'm guessing that as soon as, depending on the weather and road conditions, maybe the week of 23rd. But we monitor the road conditions, we coordinate with all the other, you know, adjoining road commissions. And because I think normally we keep record of it the last number of years, probably in the last 14 or 15 years, I think it was maybe typically around 5.5 to 6 weeks. So now, you know, this year obviously, you know, we're looking at probably 8 weeks or more. So it's been, you know, pretty unusual, you know, winter. So, and we don't want to lift them too soon and have problems. You know, the roads are bad enough now besides having them torn up. So, and like I said, I'm not going to go through the big packet of information, but if you have any questions on that, or if you do in the future, just feel free to give me a call.
I have two things I'd like to ask,
Yes.
Mark, if I may.
Yep.
I see on your 2018 tentative construction program that
Yep.
you're gonna redo Olson Road?
Yes, oh yeah, yeah, I was going to say that. We're going to re-chip and fog that again.
Okay, that's
Yep.
great.
Yeah, that's the one we, you know, I mean, it was, we did the work in 2016 and had a little bit of stone loss.
Quite
Had
a
a
bit of
few-
stone loss, but as long as you're gonna redo it,
Yeah,
that's.
no, it's going to be wedged in chip, so.
The other thing is there any more conversation about Millark becoming a county primary road rather than?
I think I sent you a copy of what I sent to MDOT. I hope you got that. A request for change. Well,
It could be in there somewhere.
okay, anyway, when we do our annual Act 51 road certification, the mileage certification, what we also did, we requested, there's a form, and you can request changing it from a county local road to a county primary road, okay? So we've submitted that request to MDOT, and they basically take a look at everything, and then probably sometime, you know, later on this spring or sometime during the summer, they actually do a field review and see MDOT and Lansing has to pretty much, you know, approve any change in the certification. We've given them all the information. Now, that being said, obviously it borders 4 townships, okay? And we get roughly, you know, 400,000 dedicated towards roads per year, you know, with federal STP funding. So, and I've looked at that road again recently before we submitted the Act 51 certification, and I'm guessing that section between 31 and 8 miles is going to be roughly about $1 million project. Before I was thinking it'd be, just some rough numbers, maybe 750,000. But your geometrics on the road, and then you got some big fill section that's going to need, you know, a lot of guardrails, stuff like that. I'm gathering it's going to be a pretty pricey project. But we are, at least in the process, we've requested a change from county local to county primary. Okay, and then there is also another step. If MDOT does approve it to be county primary, and then there's typically on your county primary roads, there's what they call, there's another classification through MDOT. There's rural minor collectors, and then there's rural major collectors. Okay, and so there's once we get reclassified, and then there's another step, because generally with our federal funding, in most cases it's used just on the rural major collectors. Coates Highway, 13 mile, 9
We'll
mile.
get people to ride back and forth on it if that's what you.
Yeah, well, no, it's traffic data, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, in the justification, I've told them, you know, it's obviously it's used pretty regular. I've given them maps and it shows all the adjoining, you know, roads.
We're getting a lot of correspondence about that road, both written and verbal. Is there a letter from this board that would help with that determination or anything?
I don't think that's, I mean, we've made the submittal with the required forms and maps. I've been in contact with MDOT. I mean, they thought, you know, looking at preliminary information quite a while ago, that it would, you know, it looked pretty promising, you know, at this point in time. But like I said, I guess what I'm trying to say is that,
That's
I know
not
it
fixed.
borders 4 townships,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that if it gets switched to primary, doesn't mean all of a sudden, you know, $1 million is gonna pop up to be used on.
No, I understand that, but it would certainly be a step in that direction.
Because like I said, we have 70 miles roughly countywide that's same condition, so. But yeah, we
The
are,
road is in bad shape.
oh yeah, it is, so. Anything else?
Anyone have anything for Mark?
For Bob? You have anything, Bob?
Well, I really appreciate you bringing that road up, Dennis, because I've been getting letters from people. The latest one I got was from a Mr. Schultz, I'm not sure if you know him or not. But
I got one too.
did you?
Yeah.
Is he in your township, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's hard not to feel for these people, because you just don't know what to say to them. You know, I asked Jan to respond in kind and let them know just exactly what Mark just explained to you, what we're trying to do, but people don't want to hear excuses. You know, I mean, everybody uses the verbiage, and they're very right when they say it. You know, we pay taxes, why can't we get our roads fixed? And the road's been like that, it's like Big Four. It's been an eyesore, not just an eyesore, it's a horrible road. And I don't know, it's kind of a unique situation when you got 4 different townships that kind of border the road. And with our agreements on roads, it's, you know, some townships can maybe afford a little more than others can. And John comes to my meetings, and I kind of hound him a lot, but, you know, I understand. And I just wish, I think a letter would help from you people. I think the more letters we get, I mean, I don't know if MDOT actually looks at them or if they just throw them in a file. I'm not as optimistic as Mark is with MDOT, but that being said, I don't know if you people can come up with some way that we can work together as a road commission and the 4 townships maybe, because people want to wait forever, you know what I mean? They have to drive on, like you said, Dennis, they drive on that road day in and day out. And, you know, I've been getting letters ever since I've been on the board about that road, and, you know, I don't blame them. But I don't, other than what we're trying to do, I don't know what else there is available to us. I wish, you know, Mr. Schultz asked me if I could sit down with the 4 townships and get some kind of an agreement. Well, that's all well and good.
We're all in agreement that the road is bad.
Exactly. It's
But
just
the
having the
funding
funds
is
to do it, yeah, exactly. But like I said, on the other hand, people don't want to hear that. They want to see results, you know, and I wish there was something, you know, wish in one hand, I know, but if you can come up with an idea, John, that could, you know, alleviate this, maybe, I don't know, grind it up, turn it into a gravel road, I don't know. But something has got to be better than what we got now.
Well, the county is full of those roads.
I know that, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But it's kind of unique here with 4 townships involved. But anyway, I don't want to babble on too much.
No,
I'm glad that
work
you
towards a
understand.
resolve here, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And if we need to send a letter, let us know, and we'll send a letter, just let us know where it's gotta go.
Sure.
You know, a lot of times it's a tough educational process, because most
Sure.
general public are not aware of how much it costs. You know, I mean, they're obviously, that road right in front of their house, that's number one.
It's the only road there
okay?
is.
That's the only road, okay? And
Exactly.
so like I said, when I rattle off based on the ratings, you got 70 miles, so you take, say, 300,000 a mile, what's that, 21 million.
Sure.
You know,
Thanks a lot for listening to my
total
complaint.
budget is- Yeah, but we are spending roughly, I think those projects I was telling you about, you know, probably around $2 million, and that does not include like Red Bridge, which is 95% funded. You know, that's a $1.5 million project, so, you know, for construction, so.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a solar zoning ordinance amendment. Guy, could you shed some light on that for us, please?
Yeah, this is really an amendment to the zoning ordinance that covers 3 things. It changes the map, there's an amendment to the map in the Fire Road area, expands the agricultural district back to maybe its original boundaries from the '86 ordinance. Then there's a text amendment that adds rules and regulations and standards of placing a large solar facility in the township, anywhere in the township for that matter. It's not specific to a fire road project. And then the third item in this amendment to the ordinance has to do with the zoning board of appeals, changing from a 5-person board to a 3-person board. The county planning commission has reviewed it, and if I'm reading this right, they've recommended approval of the map and zoning amendment changes. They had 4 comments. Those were all incorporated into the amendment that's before you. So, and the Township Planning Commission also recommended the board approve this, or adopt it, I guess is the proper word.
Okay, so zoning, or the planning commission recommended that we adopt it?
Yes.
So are you presenting this in the form of a motion?
I would make the motion that we adopt the ordinance to the Manistee Township zoning ordinance. It's before us that has to do with large solar facilities, zoning board of appeals, and the map amendment.
I'll support that motion.
It's been moved, supported that we adopt the amendment to the zoning ordinance, reference the map, the text, and the members of the ZBA, zoning board of appeals, are the 3 items listed in the amendment. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Jankowitz.
Yes.
Taylor is yes. Mr. Dons?
Yes.
Mr. Feinell?
Yes.
And Mr. Berkowitz.
Yes. Thank you for all your work on this. Next will be the planning commission appointments, going from, oh no, this is planning commission. We have 2 expirations in the planning commission, one being Mr. Jack Denson and one being Mike Willett. I have contacted Mr. Willett, and Guy has contacted Mr. Denson, asking them to stay involved in township, and they both agreed, is that correct?
Correct.
So taking one at a time, I would entertain a motion to place Jack Denson back on the planning commission with his term to expire 2022. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jack Benson to the planning commission for the following term.
It's been moved, supported that Jack Denson be placed on the planning commission for another term expiring in 2022. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And I would entertain a motion that Mike Willett be placed on the planning commission and his term to expire 2022.
I'll make that motion as well.
I'll second.
And move supported that Mr. Willett be placed on the planning commission for another term expiring in 2022. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. None opposed? Carried. Thank you. Zoning Board of Appeal appointments. Now, according to the amendment to the ordinance that we just passed, we're going from a 5-member to a 3-member board. Mr. Hornfeld has expressed his interest in remaining on the board, but only as an alternate. Jeff McCullough has an expired term. And I have contacted Mr. McCullough, and he said that he would like to stay on the board. So I would entertain a motion that Jeff McCullough be placed on the zoning board of appeals in whatever capacity the board feels he should be, whether an alternate or not, for a term to expire in 2022.
I'd make the motion that we appoint Jeff McCula to the zoning board of appeals for a term expiring in 2022.
Is there a second?
I'll support that motion.
Been moved and supported that Jeff McCool be asked to serve on the zoning board of appeals for a term to expire in 2022. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Mr. Denson, Jack Denson was on the zoning board of appeals as well. His term expired, but he expressed his desire to be removed from the zoning board of appeals. Next item on the agenda is a resolution to apply for a grant. We're not going to do this in the form of a resolution. What this is there's a group of individuals, very enthusiastic individuals that would like to apply to the Manistee County Foundation for a grant to create a pickleball facility and improvements on our current playground tennis court up here on top of the hill. This group would like to, they have their own grant writer, and they would like to submit a pre-application, which has to be in by May 1st of this year, which would describe the, it would vaguely describe the proposed project. And I'm sure that some of you don't know what the heck I'm talking about here, but they would like to put in a 108 by 130 pickleball court up here where the old baseball field used to be. I suggested to them that the township would act as their fiscal agent, if I'm using the right term, because they can't apply for the grant. We would have to apply for it. They have their own grant writer. They want to have fundraisers. There's no money obligation at this point. It's what this is they have to submit this 4-page application by May 1st to see if the foundation would let them know at that time if they need to continue.
How big did you say it was, Dennis? 108 by something?
130.
130.
You know, it's this whole program, this whole thing would be part of the eventual connection with the blacktop area that in the rebuilding of the tennis courts this year, and have an ADA accessible walkway to go from the blacktop area over to the pickleball area to one of the picnic tables we have up there. It would start to tie that whole area together, and my wish, and it's just mine, would be to get that area developed so that everybody can use it.
So if we're not doing a resolution, are you looking for a motion?
I talked to the people from the foundation, and we don't need a resolution, but I guess I'm asking for permission for them to have this grant writer put together this proposal, see if it's something that the foundation would look at. I guess permission is the word I'm looking for.
Support?
Yeah.
Support.
And there's no obligations to
None.
the township?
None. No,
Not at this point.
not at this point, no.
Good. Yeah.
Well, no, we're not committed to anything, we're just, they have to go through, well, I've offered to go through us to see if their project is involved.
Right. At the moment, it sounds win-win. Got my permission, if that means anything
Yeah,
to you.
I'd support the application for a grant, yeah.
I don't know, do I need that in a motion, or, I guess it would be more official then.
It would be more official, yes.
Because I suggested to the foundation that I would not, or they suggested to me that they did not have to do a resolution, but minutes showing that their support for the initial application.
Well, can be written as the consensus of the board, is to
That's
support
true.
this
Okay.
effort
All right.
to explore this recreational opportunity on behalf of the township and the county. We can do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Well, we have some money already, and if this goes through, is there a chance that the township could set up an account where it would just be for pickleball? And if people wanted to donate money, they would donate to the township to be designated for pickleball?
I think it might be a little premature for that, Peggy, but I
Yeah,
think that
but
can be
that-
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's,
Yeah.
A
yeah.
little early, but
Yeah, I just was wondering, and then if people did donate, is there any way they could deduct that?
Oh, I don't know
No,
about that.
see, I don't know that either. They asked me and I don't
It's a
know.
little early for that too.
Yeah,
It's,
okay, all
Totally
right, yeah,
deductible.
okay.
we need to get through this first
Yeah.
pre-application
Yeah.
thing.
Okay, yeah, and it's working, everything's, seems to be going along, so.
Yeah. All right, thanks. Hey, thank you, I thank you. They're very excited, they're very,
Well, it's a big thing for the whole township.
yeah,
We got over 200 pickleball players already, and it's just a big thing. It'll bring people in for restaurants, hotels,
yep.
we'll have tournaments.
All right, thank you very much. Next item is the Bar Lake Improvement Board. I'm not sure where we're headed with that, is it?
I think I remember committing to at least putting together what the procedure would be to dissolve the board. If that, and then, you know, because that would have to take place if this board were gonna take over management of the lake. But anyway, so I looked up the law. I have not found a procedure, like what step has to come before what step yet. But
Well, simplest thing is they can dissolve themselves, correct?
the law says a board for Mineral Lake can be dissolved if all of the following requirements are met, and there's 4 requirements.
Oh, okay.
One involves the township board. We have to hold a public hearing. We have to decide that the board's no longer necessary, and we approve that dissolution. The improvement board has to basically determine they are no longer necessary and adopt an order approving that dissolution. And then the other 2 things are all the bills need to be paid and the money gets returned to the people in the special assessment district, if there's any excess funds. And we have quite a few at this point.
So, you want this board to act on something along those lines?
Tonight,
I
no,
think-
I just
Shelley's
wanted
the
the
only one here
board
from
to
the board,
know,
right?
I wanted the board to know what it takes to dissolve the improvement board. So,
Okay.
the recommendation of the Bar Lake Improvement Board still stands, that they'd like this board to take over management of the invasive species, you know, on the lake, or in the lake.
Well, I don't think that should be done by this board. I think it would be irresponsible for this board to do that with a strike of a pen. I think there needs to be some research done
Right.
as to what it's gonna cost, what it could potentially cost. And we don't have that information.
No.
Because there is I'm sure there's more than one firm out there that would do that.
Well, if this board were to take it over, there's no requirement to use a consultant or hire a consultant to survey the lake and,
Is that why the commissioner said it would be cheaper for us to do it?
yes.
we have an issue here. This is a 3-year term, not a 4-year.
Oh, yeah.
One expires every year. So,
So, you want us,
It's just information.
Do they have a meeting coming up in all in the spring?
No, but that's, we probably, the board, the improvement board should. I don't know. Then they can decide
Okay,
what they want to do for this season.
all right, thank you. I have to apologize, we have to back up because I goofed up. The zoning board of appeals, the placement of Jeff McCullough back on the zoning board of appeals only goes to 2021 and not 2022. It's a 3-year term rather than a 4.
I'll restate my motion to appoint Jeff McCool to the zoning board of appeals to a term expiring 2021, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes. Who supported it? John?
Mr. Dunn.
I
Jen did.
Yep.
And you still say,
Yeah.
Sorry. My understanding, we need to change the October meeting date,
yes, there's been a request to change it.
pardon me?
Go ahead.
October?
October.
I can't think that far ahead.
Right now, we're scheduled to meet on October 11th, I believe it is what was on the calendar. And we've had a request to change that meeting date forward, backwards. If it were to go backwards on a Thursday, it would be the 4th, which would be the normal planning commission
Commission
night.
meeting?
We could go a week later to the 18th. And that would still be on a Thursday night. I don't know about anybody else's schedules. What does your calendar look like?
Opens at Montana Sky.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, the season opens the
I don't
20th.
know.
19th or the
18th
18th
would be
work?
How about a different day?
Does the 18th work?
Does for us, as far as we know
Yeah.
right now. Does
Yeah,
it
go
work
ahead.
for you?
Yeah, sure.
There's always
I can
Tues-
drive fast.
There's always Tuesdays.
Make it Tuesday, that would be better for me. It'd be safer for me.
Which Tuesday?
The 16th or the 9th, it doesn't matter.
16th.
Do you want to look at calendars and come back to this next month?
Yeah, we're in a hurry, yeah.
Okay, okay. So we'll move it, we just don't know when. Okay.
Do we have the bills?
They're in your book, aren't they?
Yes.
No?
Yeah, it's the last page in your blue book.
You have a book? Sorry.
I got it, I got it.
Okay. I thought maybe I missed them.
No. Motion to pay the bills for the month of April is received.
Make a motion to allow the bill to be paid as presented and incoming bills as well.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and supported that we pay bills for March 1st to 31st, and for incoming bills of April. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Manistee County MTA will reconvene Wednesday, April 18th, in Mecca. Zoning Board of Appeals, if there is one, will meet May 1st here at the Township Hall. Planning Commission will meet April 19th here at the Hall. The next regular meeting of the Manistee Township Board will be Thursday, May 10th, at the Manistee Township Hall. A reminder that the Manistee Township Annual Trash Day will be held May 12th, 2018, just north of the fire department. Is there brochures or anything about that?
Not on
I
the,
mean, what they take and don't take?
What we can bring in.
yeah, I don't have the list yet, but it hasn't, I don't think it's changed substantially from before.
Oh, no refrigerators, no tires,
No
no paint.
refrigerators, right, no tires, no hazardous waste, paint has to be solid. And I'll double check and see, make sure they're still taking paint this year.
Oh, they were?
Drive.
Yeah, they'll take dry
Dry
paint.
paint. Any other public comment? If not, a motion's in order.
Dennis?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss?
Yeah. Dave Keith Jr., 7175 Orchard Highway, Winnequa. I was hired recently in February as new county controller administrator for Manistee County. I'm just trying to get out and introduce myself to the townships and villages and go to some of the meetings. I was a township guy for over 9+ years. I was the township supervisor of full service township down in Muskegon County. And as I said, I'm just trying to get out and introduce myself to the township boards and village boards and say hello to everybody and get to know them.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you. Anyone else? Not a motion's in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Your support?
I'll support.
Move supported, we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Was that?